In the spring 2019 issue, the national magazine UU World, which many of you may get, finally published an article exploring transgender identity with the stated intention of, quote, modeling through a personal essay about one family's experience, ways for the majority of our readers to engage respectfully with trans and non-binary people. That is an excellent intention. However, you may glean something of the article's actual impact from the detail that quote was from a letter of apology that the editor of UU World, Christopher L. Walton, published soon after the issue came out. The good intentions of the magazine's editorial team must be acknowledged. So must the pain that their actions caused. What happened? The article's title may give you a clue about the disconnect between intention and impact. After L, G, and B, notice what's missing? The T that would normally follow those letters in the well-known acronym stands, of course, for transgender, and the article's title sets off in the wrong direction by highlighting the erasure of transgender folks. Things went downhill from there. In short, the article by UU World contributing editor Kimberly French is an autobiographical discussion of her personal struggle to understand trans identity through a series of ham-fisted attempts at inclusion and some very offensive personal questions. Her own intention, as stated in, again, a public letter of apology, was, quote, to show my own mistakes, lack of knowledge, and insensitivity as a mother and close friend of people who are transgender and non-binary, and then show what I have been learning over the past 5 years. The problem was that, in her own words, the article ended up, quote, showing what I still have to learn. She, Walton, and others associated with UU World heard from many transgender people about where the article went wrong, and I won't rehearse those errors here, except for the first one. This was the first major article that UU World published about trans identity or the trans experience, and it was written from the perspective of a cisgender person. What harm could be caused by a well-intentioned article written by a well-intentioned liberal? Listen to the words of some transgender UUs. C.B. Beale, a religious education professional, writer, and activist, wrote a response to the article in their blog. As they read that article, they recount, quote, I found myself muttering in anger and gasping in pain. They acknowledge the good intentions of the piece, but went on to say, quote, it is part of my practice of justice making to attend first to the impact of people's words and actions, secondarily to their intention. They ask humbly and mindfully for us would-be allies to listen to them, to acknowledge the reality of that pain they felt, and to set aside intention-based apologies as we seek to learn better how to create a brave space where we can move beyond good intentions. I think C.B. Beale's use of the phrase brave space is really powerful. It takes bravery to admit that we are imperfect, that we have a lot to learn. It really takes bravery to admit we have harmed people, especially when we intended to do just the opposite. I was angry when I read the UU World magazine, although as a cis person, I was not directly harmed by it. I was angry when I read that the editorial team had sought, then disregarded, feedback from Alex Capitan, a genderqueer activist, UU lay minister, and then a member of the steering committee of Trust, or the Trans Religious Professional UUs Together. And Z urged them not to run it. Multiple times, and well in advance of publication, Z urged them not to run it. The editorial team were so sure they were right. They were so sure that their good intentions would resonate with their readership, who are, after all, mostly cisgender liberals, like the author, me. I'm still angry about that article, and I think I'm angry because the errors of that article might have been my own. I see myself more in the author than in the de-centered subjects. The author stated she is trying to be a good ally. I am trying to be a good ally. As I try to do so, as I try to live in that brave space, I want to remember how easily intentions can fail when uninformed by a recognition of possible effects. Will this do harm? Is the question. Not, do I mean to do harm? I have to try to be accountable, to hold myself accountable for the impacts of my actions and my words, not just the intentions behind them. It's hard. Hard, y'all. For me, at least, it takes even more courage to own up to unintended harm. Knee-jerk reactions are, I didn't mean it that way, or I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Social justice work, covenantal relationships, even personal friendships demand more than that. They demand more than good intentions.